Look, it's Gamer Kitty Soma in a suitcase. Do-do-do, that means we're on the road. We're driving. I'm not driving, I'm sitting in the passenger seat. But we're driving down the road. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. This is the pre-stream song. Don't get me busted cause I'm making it up. Do-do-do-do-do. Look how cute she is. But she's also mad because we didn't take her with us. Da-da-da. It's almost 4 o'clock. Da-da-da. Almost time for the stream to start. Gonna just do some things here. Trying to kill some time. I hope this isn't too wobbly. This probably is too wobbly, but that's okay. 'Cause we're on the road. Where we're going, it's not a smooth road. But look, she's so cute. She really is determined to stay in the suitcase. Oh goodness. Oh goodness me. Alright. Enough of that, I think. Can I flip my camera around? Let's see if I can do that. I think I can. Bam! I did it! I did it, folks. I'm gonna see if I can adjust my volume here. No, it looks like I'm okay. My microphone is not on mute. Seems alright. So, I'm gonna attempt, see if I can put this back on here. I have a nice little driving thing, and I just popped in the air vent, so that's not gonna work. I'm gonna put this back. I have a nice little phone clip for when I'm driving with directions and things, but I'm doing it in the passenger seat today. So, hello everyone. Trying to see who I've got viewing. See who I got in the chat. Welcome everyone who is here. Thanks so much for joining me. I gotta back this up just a tad. You don't want to see my close-ups and my undid face. Although I don't really wear makeup a lot. So yeah, this is me, and this is my stream for today. Going to on the road. Let's see if my camera's over here. I'm gonna keep looking at the chat though, just to say hi to everybody. Let's see, do we have a solution? Possible solution? Not a possible solution. I don't know how I keep doing this. I am just making a mess of everything today. There we go. Alright. I'm going to do this again. There we go. It's a little low. I'm going to see if I can put it up here. No, this is not working. Oh, goodness me. So we're here. I am currently on the road right now. We are in Washington State, and we're on our way to search out for some snow, actually. As you can see, there's not a lot of snow out there. It looks pretty bare. So yeah. But yeah, this is what's happening right now. And I'm going to talk about some games while we are on the road. What to do for traveling. So a lot of you are probably thinking, how are you traveling right now? It's a holiday season. It's during a pandemic. it's just really, really insane right now. How are you doing this? Well, thankfully, to a lot of precautions that we have taken in our own personal household, we have stayed healthy and safe, and we have looked up locations that are accepting visitors and doing Airbnbs that we can stay in, and looking at their health guidelines and things like that. So we have done our research, and we have done well to make sure we're taking the necessary precautions for us to travel right now. And yes, the part of Oregon that we are in, they're kind of advising people at limiting gatherings. They have not necessarily closed down any things in terms of shops and stores quite yet. We have had that in the past, where there's been people that they're encouraging just to stay home and have kind of more of a at-home ordinance going on. But yeah, for the most part, Oregon is pretty good at making sure that we maintain social distancing. We are limited to 2 families per gathering, so, probably 10 people or less in those. So it's been, it's been quite fortunate for us to be able to kind of still go out and about and do things and order takeout and whatnot. So I'm really, really happy that this is going on right now. So with all that to say, Washington State has, of course, different regulations, but where we are going, it seems okay at the moment. We're still hoping that it'll stay that way for the remainder of the weekend, but we won't know. So anyways, I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about games that we like to take on the road with us when we travel. So this is going to be kind of fairly impromptu. I do have some examples here that I want to show off, and I'll try my best to do this as best as possible. I apologize for the road noise and any other things that drive by. I'll try not to get anybody in anybody's face for close-ups. My hubby is driving right now, and I told him I wasn't going to put him on camera, but I might ask him some questions about some of these games. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get started. Hello to everybody that is currently watching this stream. Thanks for popping in. And, what is happening at the moment with you all? I'm just curious if you're enjoying your Wednesday, if you're looking forward to the holidays, if you're looking forward to doing any sort of traveling. Traveling for us is going to be a little bit different this year. We usually do things for our anniversary, which is right before Christmas, and the Christmas holidays we usually spend with family, but it's going to be a little bit different. So traveling is going to be restricted to just the 2 of us, and that's quite all right. So here's some of the games that I think would be kind of cool to bring along while we are traveling. So let's do this here. So first off, when it comes to travel games, or games to take while traveling, I always think of size. What can fit in a suitcase or in a purse or in a bag or things like that. So my first thought comes to mind are roll and write games. And if you've been following the channel and been watching some of my playthroughs, a lot of them are roll and write games that I've been teaching and running through with you all. Been going through lots of my favorite ones that are easy to pick up, easy to teach, and can play a lot of people. But But one other thing that I really like about the roll and rights are that they travel really easily. Most of the time they come pretty self-contained. Either they have their own pens and dry erase materials, or they have their own dice and cards and things, so you don't need to bring extra stuff with you. You can just have it all in the box and be good to go. So one in particular that does this really well is Silver and Gold. This is a game from Pandasaurus Games, designed by Phil Walker Harding. And the cool thing about this game is it's a quick game. It only plays about 20-25 minutes long, but it comes with its own set of markers and its own materials for dry erasing. So you've got your own little markers here, and each player has their little islands that they are trying to discover the treasures on and things. So you've got cards like this, and the actual material of the card themselves is dry erasable. So you can use these markers and mark them up, and then when you're done, you just erase them off. So this is a really, really cool concept. And the box is fairly thin. I wouldn't say small. I would say it's on the thinner side of games. It can easily fit in a suitcase. If you have a big purse like I usually do, you can fit it. But I would say the width is like a deck of cards. The height is fairly large. I would probably say maybe like maybe 2 or 3 decks of cards next to each other long. But it's one of those games that's really compact that you can just take with you. You don't need any extra bits to play with it, and that's really, really cool. I also like some of those roll and writes that you have several player sheets of. I think about like Welcome to, where you just need a pen or a pencil or things like that. But there's lots of player sheets included in there, so you can play it multiple times. But for us, I think kind of having just take the game and not necessarily any extra stuff is key when it comes to traveling. So that's one of our kind of go-to games that we like to do. There's I know Patchwork Doodle is a good one too. That it has colored pencils that are included in it, so you can not be confined to just a ballpoint pen. You can kind of color and do what you would like with that. But yeah, roll and writes usually are in the smaller box size, which are really cool to take with you when you are traveling. Another type of games that I always like taking on road trips, I think, especially just for the adventure of them all, are escape room games. And there are several different types of escape room games out there right now. Lots of designers and publishers are kind of jumping on that escape room bandwagon. I've personally done a few actual escape rooms themselves, which are a lot of fun, but these kind of escape room in a box games are really great for traveling because it kind of immerses you into an environment where you can kind of pretend that you are, searching for clues in some secret lab, or you're in an abandoned cabin and you're trying to find things out in the middle of the woods, and it kind of gives you that little bit of an escape where you can, no pun intended, but a little bit, an escape of being out in somewhere different. And so with these actual escape rooms in a box, there are a few that we like to play. We haven't got to play all of them. I know that there are a few that we're still waiting to try. There's one that it's called Undo, where you're actually like reversing someone's death, and you find out the end of the story, and so you're trying to backtrack and see like what happened. And I think there's a possibility of you maybe going through and like changing the course of history, like changing the future. So, and that's kind of a one-shot, one-off little bit scenario there. But a lot of the ones that we have done that we've really enjoyed while traveling are the exit games. This one designed, of course, by Marcus and Inca Brand. And this is a new one in particular, the Haunted Roller Coaster, hence the shrink wrap is still going on here. These are great. One, because you can play it with it has 4 players, they think. I like the sweet spot of three players in particular, because the brain power of trying to do all the puzzles and things is really, really important to have multiple people working on them, because they might think a little bit differently than you do. So these are great to take for us to travel, even though there's just 2 of us. It might take us slightly longer to accomplish the scenarios and do the puzzles and things like that. But the kicker that we like about it, or at least for me, is you get to destroy pieces and like use some of the elements of the game to solve the scenario. And you can't put it back. Like once you have done this escape room scenario, or once you've done this adventure, then that's it. It's done. So you can recycle it at the end, and it's less for you to take home, and more opportunity for you to either get some souvenirs or another board game when you're traveling or something like that. So I always find it kind of interesting to have, when you're going somewhere, you usually end up packing way more stuff than you need. And so you like hope you can have room for souvenirs and for extra little bits and trinkets for when you come back home. So this kind of allows for that, right? You can take all the bits and play this game and have a lot of fun with it, and then it's done. It's recyclable. So that's one I like to do with traveling. Another ones that we have enjoyed that we are bringing as well are the unlock games. These games are also in the escape room line, and they come with a phone app incorporation. I didn't really want to mention those here on the talking about like with travel games, because they utilize the phone app, and it might drain your battery. So if you're traveling, or if you're, on a plane or something like that, it's great while you're playing. But if you need it for like navigation, or to like, do some hotel reservations, or like check in on an airline or something, you might not have enough battery power to do that. So they are great to do. The unlock games are great to do as far as like those escape adventure type scenarios. But in terms of like travel purposes, I prefer the exit ones instead. Deckscapes are another one that are great too. Once you play them, you can just put the cards back in order and give them to someone else. That's really fun. Those are cool for traveling too, but my go-to when it comes to travel has to be these exit games. So this one, the Haunted Roller Coaster, it's a level 2 out of 5 difficulty, and we've done quite a few of these exit games, and some of them are pretty true to that scale, and some of them are completely off. So I'm hoping that this one is true to its scale, because I mean, I like solving puzzles and riddles and things of that nature. But sometimes I just want to finish it. I don't want to like be sitting and staring for hours and hours and hours. Thankfully, on these exit games, they do have a stack of hint cards for the clues of each little puzzle that you're doing. So if you get stuck, you can check some of those hint cards. They give you a slight penalty I think time-wise, they take off some time for you if you use one of those hints. But other than that, they're helpful to have. So this one, 2 out of 5, haunted roller coaster. It says, can you solve these riddles to escape the haunted amusement park ride? So we shall see. I won't be streaming this because it's going to be spoilers. Because like I said, once you play the scenario, you're done. But yeah. And speaking of puzzles and riddles, another travel thing that's kind of cool that I didn't bring up here was like puzzle books, travel books. I know a lot of folks like doing crossword puzzles, which are really awesome, or Sudoku, or, logic grids and things of that nature. Those are always lots of fun. My husband and I really like doing those, and we have a book currently that has several different logic puzzles in it, and it's kind of a storyline that goes through it. They are quite fun to do, and they have the answers in the back of the book so you can check your progress and see how you're doing and things like that. But those are also fun, and they travel well too. Well, I know a lot. You see them a lot in like airports and mini marts and things like that. Those books of crosswords. So they don't necessarily have to be a board game. They could still be games in a different fashion, but they travel well. So yeah, puzzles and riddles are always good to kind of get your brain going, and then you can relax when you're on vacation or wherever your destination is and go, that was really a lot of fun. So all right, roll and writes, some of my go-tos, and escape rooms. Those are 2 types. Other ones that I like are card games. So recently, within the last few years, there have been this kind of new rise of what are called wallet games or pocket-sized games, and they are perfect for traveling or just to have on hand. If you're going to a convention or going over to a friend's house, you just stick it in your pocket and you are good to go. One company in particular is called Button Shy Games, and they have done several different wallet-sized games, or pocket-sized games, if you will. And these are awesome because they only contain 18 cards in this little wallet. This one, Circle the Wagons, is really cool. And this one is called Sprawlopolis. But they are just self-contained wallet games. Each of these base games is only consistent of 18 cards. However, I did buy this from the Button Shy booth at Gen Con. I don't know, was that a year ago? What is time? Where am I? And so there was a couple expansions that you can include, but they still fit inside. So on this side over here is the base game, and on this side underneath the rules are all the expansions. And again, it fits in the size of a wallet. Like, this is pretty awesome. These games are great for small groups of folks. I think this is 2 players. Sprawlopolis, I think plays more people.
It's made to be solo.
Okay.
But very easy because it's co-op. You can play it 2.
Got it. All right.
More than 2 gets a little funky.
So this one was meant to be like a solo game or a 2-player game, but it's cooperative. And the same thing here. I actually have a couple expansions in this one as well. So on this side is the base game, and on this side is the expansions, and they fit in a wallet. It's really rad. I got to meet one of the designers of one of these games, Danny Devine, and he's done other games like Topiary, and there's one called I want to say Honshu, but it's not Honshu. It's about koi ponds, and I apologize, Danny, what the name of that upcoming game is. Kohashu. Anyway, he's a really nice dude, and got to play some of these games, and he was saying how it was really, really neat to have this concept in mind that you can kind of get a complex game within just a set of cards. I mean, it's even less than a deck of cards worth of cards. You can play stuff. So it's really, really awesome. These are great. There are several different lines. I know Elizabeth Hardgrave made one called Tessie Mussy. It's about trading bouquets and getting sets, kind of set collection and things. Really beautiful artwork. Really, really sweet. But yeah, the Button Shy line of pocket games are awesome to take for people to travel with. They are some of them are more lighter in nature in terms of gameplay, so you can play them with younger audiences. Sprawlopolis can be kind of more of the lighter to medium weight size. It is very puzzly because you are working together to sprawl out your city and keeping in mind the different objectives that you have to obtain, and making sure your roads and things line up, and also the orientation of the cards is very specific as well. So having those around is having those available to kind of remember when you're playing the game might be a little bit complex for some folks. So yeah, there's a wide range of those Button Shy games. But I really, really encourage you all to kind of check those out. Circle the Wagons is cool. It's you basically lay out the cards in a circle, and players go around and take turns drafting their cards and building out their little tableau based upon the objectives that they have to solve too. So if you take a card that's kind of a little bit further in the circle, the player behind you has the opportunity to take those for free and place them in their tableau. So it's kind of like a push and pull element to that as well. Whoa, it just got really, really foggy out here. I told you all we were searching for snow, and we have found fog instead. So if I lose you all in there, I apologize. But we are still on the road. We've got our headlights on and everything, so we are still doing okay. So those are another set of travels as the Button Shy card games. Also, card games that can play a little bit more folks instead of just the solo or modes are also the game. Now, why name the game the game? I have no idea. They could have named this anything. They could have named it 1 to 100, but I'm sure that's probably already a name of a game. This game has been out for a little bit. It recently got some reskin, some new artwork by Kwanchai Moira, which I appreciate a lot more, because I think the other one had skulls and crossbones and snakes and really creepy stuff. And this is a fairly approachable game, and having artwork like that can turn people away. So I'm super glad that they did that, that they changed the artwork of it, because yeah, it was kind of crazy. Anyway, in this game, you are trying to stack 2 decks of cards, one ascending from the numbers 1 to 100, and the other descending from 100 to 1. Now, the kicker about this game is, yeah, it says it only takes 20 minutes, but when you're playing with people, you are not allowed to talk about the numbers in your hands specifically. You can be vague and say, I might have a number that's close to this number, but you can't tell them, oh, I have the 74, I can put on that 75. So it's all about communication and how you communicate, because the goal is to get rid of all the cards so that they stack in those two stacks, 1 to 100 and 100 to 1. You can play this solo. You can play this up to, it says up to 5 players. I've played this with 4, and it's been insane, because some people know how to really communicate well, and some people are like super vague on the verge of being gray, like outside here, and you're like, I have no idea what's in your hand. So if you get stuck and you can't play any more cards in your hand, the game ends. So it's a fun challenge. There's not a whole lot of rules to it, so really anybody can pick it up, and it's just a matter of, how folks communicate with one another. I won't say it's up to brain power, because super geniuses can play with 3-year-olds, and the 3-year-old might be better at this game. I don't know. It's all just a matter of communicating well with one another. So, and again, this one is thin like a deck of cards. It is a little bit shorter in height than silver and gold, but another fun, compact game that fits really well. Now, if you're traveling with folks and you see there's kind of, maybe you want to do a group game that is a little bit easy to approach and doesn't have a lot of bits and things too, another card game that I recommend is No Thanks. This game has been around also for a while. The minimum player count is 3, so that's why I'm saying if you have groups of folks that you want to play with, this would be a good go-to game. Also takes about 20 minutes, but again, it's a matter of communication. In this game, there are cards that go from, I think it's up to 35. The highest is 35. I think it's 1 to 35 on this one?
3, I think it's
3 to 35. Okay. So in this game, number cards go from 3 to 35. And you are trying to get the lowest point score total. So kind of like golf scoring. So the lower cards you get, the better. However, each card is going to get revealed. There's a general stack, and each card is going to get revealed one at a time. And the person that draws the card decides whether or not they want to take that card into their hand or say no thanks. When they say no thanks, each player has a group of poker chips that they place in the center that are subtract or minus points to their overall score at the end of the game. So depending on the player count, will determine how many poker chips each player will start with. So, if the player decides no thanks, it'll go to the next person. They have that poker chip placed on there, and then that next person can decide whether or not they want to take it or say no thanks and place the token, place their chip down on there. Now, there can go around several rounds until somebody finally grabs a poker chip or grabs the card with the poker chips on it. And the game will keep going until there are no more cards left in the deck. Now, scoring, I said, works in terms of whoever has the lowest score wins. However, if you get a sequence of numbers, if you're able to grab the 7, 8, 9, 10, and you have all of those in a row, you only score for the lowest number in that row. So you would only score 7 points. So it's not a sum total of all those cards. It's only just that one, the lowest one. So that could be a good strategy. And this is how I've played it before too, where I have actually gotten down to negative numbers because I've had so many runs and so many poker chips from the rest of the players that it just netted me in the minus. So This game is pretty fun. It can be in multiple languages. We were taught this game in French, but it's Non Merci, it's called. But there are, it's pretty rules independent. I mean, once you kind of figure out what to do, then you don't really need to check rules and things. So these two are really great card games. Again, fin size box, super easy to travel with, fairly approachable games for all player levels and counts and things like that. So card games are cool. Another card game that is really drawn to me are some of those kind of how would you call it, those games that have like they're co-op but collective objectives. I'm thinking of games like The Crew, where there are cards and it's a trick-taking game mechanic basically, but the kicker of that game is you have certain tricks that you have to take in order for you to advance in the game as a team. And so this one is really fun to play, but it's a little bit different than the normal trick-taking mechanic in that there are, you have to kind of get your mindset around knowing what trick-taking is, but then also the timing of when to take a trick and when not to take a trick. And I believe there are like 50 scenarios or 50 missions that they say in that game to play. And that's a good kind of party group setting game that's fairly compact. It has just cards and is a lot of fun if people are kind of more familiar in gaming terms as far as like trick-taking and co-op games are concerned. But another one that's similar to that has particularly drawn my attention whenever we travel is the Shipwreck Arcana. Now this one again is a cooperative scenario because you are trying to complete a certain number of correct guesses so that your timer is in the positive at the end of the game. So this is for 2 to 5 players, plays about 20 minutes. But what I like about this game is, again, it's a larger box. It's a fairly larger box. But I like the element in that the bits for what you get in this box are really neat. There are wooden tokens that each player has to indicate the numbers in their hand. So you have numbers 1 through 7, and there are these cool little tokens, wooden tokens, that every player gets to have at the start of the game. The goals are you're trying to get the rest of your teammates to guess what card you have hidden in front of you. You have 2 cards to draw from, and 1 card you will use to give a clue, and the other card is what is hidden. Now, collectively, in the center of the table, there will be different cards that have conditions on them. So it says, if one of your cards is an even number, place it here. Or if your cards are the sum total of 8 or more, place one of them here. And there will be 4 different cards that are placed in the center of the table. And you are allowed to choose one of your cards from your hand to place in front of one of those cards to give information to the rest of your team to help them guess what other card is in your hand. Now, if you have any incorrect guesses, it knocks down your countdown clock, and there's kind of like I think it's like a good versus evil kind of thing. So you're trying to keep your timer on the good side or the evil side before the time runs out. So they're kind of different tricks and things too, but it's kind of secret information. You can only give what's on your cards. However, if there are these cards in the center, if when you place, and maybe that's an incorrect token or incorrect guess or things like that, your timer, the evil side grows in its timer. Whereas with those center cards, there are also timers on them, so if cards get used on those, they can indicate maybe some special abilities can get triggered. So if that card gets used once and then a certain amount of time goes by, then the card gets flipped over, and then there's a special ability that the team can use collectively to help them further down their goals. So it's a nice little difference in terms of like a co-op gameplay, but I like doing it as 2 players. I've played it up to 4, and that was fun as well, but I think I kind of like the 2-player variant a little bit more. But yeah, and the artwork in this is really, really cool. I apologize for how dark it is in here. The sun has definitely set. We have definitely been in fog. So this is quite the stream, folks. So thank you for indulging me in this road trip of adventure. But I just wanted to show you one of the cards here. It's got some really neat artwork. The cards are more like tarot-sized cards, which can take up a little bit more game space. But again, I just think it's really, really fascinating. I mean, they could have stuck any kind of theming really on this game. The game is really theme independent. But yeah, really quality bits, really nice artwork on these cards. It also comes with a velvety little bag to hold all your tokens in, which is kind of sweet too. It's got this little embroidered Shipwreck Arcana bag so we can draw out tokens and things. But this is really, really cool. So that's the Shipwreck Arcana, another travel size game. It is on the taller side, but it's a fairly skinny box. In terms of like, it's probably, I don't know how to describe it. If you were to get maybe like a tissue box, if you were to get one of those like standard tissue boxes, not as tall, but I mean it's not that wide, it's kind of a skinnier box. So again, easy to stick into a suitcase of some sort. So yeah, and I think those were all. The other travel games I know that we like to do sometimes are like campaign kind of driven games. Those tend to take a lot of time and a lot of hours, so when you're at your destination, that can be really cool if you're just kind of hunkered down and want to play some games for a little bit. Those are really cool, but overall, I think the majority would be, for me, is travel size. A lot of the unnecessary bits and things too, because you don't want stuff to get lost. So if it's pretty self-contained in a smaller box, it's easy to make sure everything comes back to you. I also like multiple player counts. Smaller player counts are nice because it helps kind of, if you're playing in a smaller gaming space, like if you're on a plane and you just have the tray table, it's kind of nice to just do a cutesy little 2-player game where it's just a deck of cards. So taking out some Sprawlopolis, or pull a Roll and Write out and use the box top as your little dice tray or something like that. Saving space is really nice. I also like those games that are approachable for people, because several times when we have been out and about and traveling, we play games, and sometimes we'll take them to a winery or we'll take them to a restaurant, and they usually turn heads. And it might be a case where you can invite people to play along with you. It might be a case where they just want to watch and you can just chat with them. Although I'm not sure how it's going to be for this pandemic time, because social distancing is a thing. So I think we're probably not going to take these games out and about if we do go to a restaurant or anything like that. Although I'm not even sure if any of these games or any of these places are going to be open for like dining in. So it might just be takeout. But after pandemics happen, if we all go back to, going to our local game stores or gaming cafes or game bars, things like that, having these smaller present games are really cool because they help stir up questions or be curious or, at least give some looks of like, what are you all playing? This is interesting to me. Or this is kind of weird, you're at an eating establishment, why are you playing a game? Just those kind of things. And I like having those conversations of like, actually, this is a really fun game and I would really like to play this with you. Would you be interested in learning it? Because again, like this whole point of me having this channel is to help with you all, teaching you games and playing along with you to kind of bring some positivity in these crazy times. So I like having those moments of games that I enjoy playing outside of just my home or within my gaming group, and to invite people in to the table to play along with me. So those are a few. If you all have any suggestions on games that you like to play when you're traveling, or you're just like, hey, you know what, Jess, I just bring a set of dice and, I just do some basic dice games, like I play Farkle, or I just bring a standard deck of cards and I do some solitaire, or I play poker or whatever. Let me know. I'm just curious. And like I said, they don't have to be designer board games. They don't have to be super expensive or anything like that. Those puzzle games and those like puzzle books and crossword puzzle things, I mean, you can find them like for under $5. So whatever tickles your fancy. I think when traveling, to keep that connection, keep your brains going, is important, at least for me, or at least gives me somewhat of a distraction, because, traveling can be anxiety inducing. I admit sometimes it can be very stressful. So having those thoughts and having those escapes in a way is kind of nice. So, if you're on a plane for a few hours and they don't have TVs, or the TVs are down, or they're playing a cheesy movie and you don't want to watch it, you have games to turn to. So, yeah, that's all that I've got from here. I better sign off soon, but I do want to let you all know we will be still streaming the Friday Festive Fridays. This Friday at noon, I will be going through One Deck Dungeon again. We were so close to the dragon, to defeating the dragon. And so I think I'm going to pull in some of y'all from chat to help me out with this. So yes, thank you for indulging me in this travel. I apologize if the sound quality or anything was kind of crazy. I apologize for all of this madness. There's no snow. I also apologize for that, because I'm sure it probably would have looked cool if we were driving and all of a sudden there's just snow. But maybe I can show you all on Friday if we get any snow. I don't know. Anyways, keep it locked right here for more fun adventures, gaming adventures. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday or Thursday, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. And I will see you all on Friday at noon Pacific time. And yeah, we'll be doing some more One Deck Dungeon. So, and if you want to do any follows or tweets or anything like that, I don't have my fancy to-go screen, so it's just at Chicks Can Game, ChixCangame. That's on Instagram and the Twitters. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/ChicksCanGamePDX. All right, friends, have fun gaming. Feel free to chat with me if you have any suggestions on future happy hour hangouts. I do have a few more games that I want to introduce to you all, but if there are some, possibly maybe some holiday themed ones, we shall see. But yeah, feel free to message me on those channels. All right, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.